Revealed. The incredible plan I discovered at 3 a.m. that changed my life forever. As the clock ticked steadily past 3 a.m., Sarah found herself hunched over the kitchen table, surrounded by a mountain of bills that seemed to lay waste to her dreams. The exhaustion weighed heavily on her, her eyes red and tired, reflecting the stark light from a single bulb. Her 2 kids slept soundly down the hall, blissfully unaware of their mother's struggles. She was used to the grind. Double shifts as a waitress at Maggie's diner, stitching together fragments of time to keep food on the table. Yet with every bill she glanced at, a mix of despair and longing swelled inside her. Her late husband had so many dreams for their family: a better house, a stable life, but hardship had shifted those dreams into wistful memories. Just when the tightness in her chest was about to crush her resolve, she noticed a flicker of light spilling from the nearby community center. Compelled by curiosity, Sarah trudged outside, the cold air biting her cheeks. The community center had become a flickering beacon of hope in their dying town. As she peered through the glass doors, her heart raced. Inside, the bulletin board loomed, cluttered with forgotten hope. Amongst the fading flyers, one caught her eye: a scholarship program for adults returning to education. It felt like lightning striking her heart, igniting a fire she thought had long extinguished. She envisioned her children, their future bright under her guidance, and for the first time in ages, hope punctured her despair. But excitement quickly intertwined with anxiety. What if it didn't work? When she told her mother about it, disappointment clouded her mother's voice. "Are you sure this is best for the kids?" Her friends, once allies, turned icy, whispers of competition filling the air. Did they think she would abandon her family for her own selfish dreams? As she dove into her studies, the weight of judgment from her neighbors pressed down like a heavy fog. "Shouldn't you just be at home?" they seemed to murmur with each glance. And to make matters worse, her son started struggling at school, the ripple effects of her pursuit cutting deep. Just when she thought life couldn't get more chaotic, her father fell ill. The news hit like a punch to her gut, leaving her breathless and frantic. Then came the most grueling moment of her life, standing in front of her town at a meeting. The air buzzed with tension. Sarah's hands trembled as she gripped the podium, heart racing painfully. "I'm here tonight," she finally spoke, voice trembling yet fierce, "to show that just surviving isn't enough. We have to aspire." She poured out her heart, revealing the burdens of working-class life and the undeniable strength it took just to stand in that room. The crowd fell silent, then slowly transformed, a wave of understanding washing over their faces. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." As a chorus of applause erupted, tears pricked at Sarah's eyes, a mix of relief and fear. Could this support shield her from the looming obstacles? She stood there, heart pounding, knowing that the path ahead was strewn with uncertainty. Would she find the strength to keep fighting? The audience leaned in, breathless with anticipation, eager to see if Sarah could turn this flicker of hope into a flame that transforms not just her life, but the future of Maplewood itself. In the days that followed her passionate speech, Sarah felt a shift in the atmosphere around her. That night's applause hadn't just been empty praise. It sparked something in her community. Small conversations began to blossom wherever she went, whispers of unity and possibility filling the air. Neighbors who once scoffed at her ideas now greeted her with nods of acknowledgement. It was subtle yet powerful. They began to share their own struggles, moments of vulnerability that connected them all. Yet, while outside transformation unfolded, inside Sarah's home shadows lingered. Her son Alex, barely 10, still battled with his schoolwork, retreating into himself even more. His grades slipped further, and she could see frustration bubbling just beneath the surface of his eyes, a reflection of her own turmoil. Every time she helped him with homework, a knot twisted tighter in her stomach. Was her pursuit of a better future pulling him away from the one he needed? On a particularly heavy evening, she caught him staring out the window, an expression of longing on his face. He turned sharply when he noticed her, and she could sense the weight of his worries. "Mom, are you going to leave us?" The innocence of his question shattered her. She knelt beside him, pulling him close, her heart aching. "Alex, no. I'm doing this for us. I just want to make things better." "How?" he whispered, eyes glistening. The honesty in his tone dug deeper than she anticipated. "I want to learn to get a good job so we can have more." The words felt inadequate, but what else could she say? She hated that he needed to bear the burden of this dream. Deflated but determined, Sarah returned to the community center, hunger for knowledge mixed with a collection of wavering fears. She signed up for classes, her heart thudding in her chest. As they began, she found herself surrounded by familiar faces. The makeup of the room changed with laughter and shared stories of hardship. Yet, there remained an undercurrent of doubt. Could she truly juggle everything she needed to do while still grasping for her own dreams? Weeks wore on, with each class and late-night study session building a fire she hadn't felt in years. She reveled in learning algebra, English, and even computer skills. The isolation of those long nights melted away with laughter from her new classmates. But still, guilt clung to her like a ghost. Late one evening, after tucking her children into bed, she opened her laptop, prepared to immerse herself in assignments. The flicker of the screen illuminated her tired eyes, and she hesitated, wondering if she was sacrificing too much for the sake of aspiration. While she wrestled with these thoughts, her phone buzzed unexpectedly, an invitation for another community meeting. The excitement quickly entitled with dread. What if her ideas were still viewed through lenses of doubt? As she scrolled through the details, she noticed a section dedicated to speaking out about community programs, the theme focusing on uplifting families in need. A thread of determination stitched its way through her. What if this was her chance to rally support for the very thing she sought, a path for all struggling families to unite? Could she share her story and inspire others? Much like their earlier interactions? She took a deep breath, the weight of her choices swirling in her chest, uncertain yet invigorated. And so, with anxiety wrapped around her heart, she made a decision. She would step into that meeting with intention, ready to share her vision of change. It was time to unite her community, to transform aspiration into action. Little did she know, a surprise awaited her there, something that would complicate her journey even further. As she pulled on her coat, ready to face the night, a thought nagged at her. Was she truly prepared for what lay ahead? Would she have the support she desperately needed? Her heart echoed with uncertainty as she stepped outside, anticipation crackling in the air. What awaited her at the meeting would shape not just her own path but also the fate of her community. The community center buzzed with energy as Sarah entered, the glass doors swishing open like a portal to something new. Soft chatter filled the air, and she could see familiar faces, some hopeful, others unsure, all searching for change. As she stepped inside, a wave of warmth washed over her, but anxiety also nestled in her throat. What if she stumbled over her words? What if no one believed her vision? She found a seat at the back of the room, her palms clammy and restless in her lap. Glancing around, she noticed Alex's teacher, Mr. Thompson, animatedly speaking with a small group. His passion for helping students had always been evident, and suddenly she felt a surge of gratitude for him. Maybe, just maybe, the meeting could be a turning point. The room slowly quieted as the community leader took the stage, a calm authority in her demeanor. "Thank you all for coming tonight. We're here to explore how we can uplift our families and build support systems that matter." Her words were encouraging, and Sarah felt a spark ignite within her. When the leader opened the floor for personal stories and ideas, Sarah hesitated. Her heart raced in her chest like a hummingbird caught in a storm. "Don't let this moment slip away," a voice inside urged. Drawing in a shaky breath, she raised her hand. Just as Mr. Thompson finished sharing his own powerful story about the struggles he faced growing up, he turned and smiled at her encouragingly. As she stood, the weight of her decision pressed down on her shoulders, but also electrified her spirit. Hi everyone. I'm Sarah," she stammered, but the familiar faces began to nod, recognizing her from previous gatherings. "I want to talk about how we can help each other lift up our families." With each passing word, her confidence swelled, fueled by the supportive glances she received. She spoke of her dreams for a community where parents didn't fear struggle. Instead, they supported one another through shared resources and knowledge. Her voice steadied, Imagine a center where we can gather to learn, grow, and find strength. As she wrapped up, the room erupted in applause. A rush of relief flooded through her. This was what she wanted: connection, action, collective strength. She stepped back, heart racing yet feeling bold. But then a familiar figure emerged from the audience, a community member who had been resistant to her ideas in the past. "That sounds nice, Sarah, but how do we fund such a project? We have limited resources already," he challenged, skepticism etched on his face. The lump in her throat grew heavier, but she met his eyes. "We start small, pooling our skills and resources. We reach out beyond our community. There are grants, sponsorships. We can make this work." His eyebrows raised slightly at her determination, but disbelief lingered. Others began to murmur and debate while Sarah tried to keep the momentum moving. Suddenly, Mr. Thompson interjected. "Can we at least agree that Sarah's vision deserves to be explored? If we shift the focus to working together, we can figure out the rest." His support warmed Sarah's heart, igniting hope within her like sunlight breaking through clouds. When the discussions began to simmer down, the leader invited everyone to brainstorm actionable next steps. Just as Sarah started to feel inspired again, a loud crash interrupted the meeting. A figure at the back of the room had collapsed. Panic surged. In that moment of chaos, adrenaline kicked in. Sarah's heart raced while she rushed toward the commotion, thoughts flooding her mind. What was happening? Would her vision of unity hold amidst the turmoil? As she bent down to assist, she couldn't help but wonder, was this the challenge meant to test her resolve, or an opportunity for deeper connections? Every second stretched, her pulse quickening as she caught sight of the crowd's fear. Would they rally, or would they scatter in doubt? What lay ahead could change not just her night, but the entire trajectory of her aspirations. The true test was beginning. The air in the room shifted. Sarah knelt by the figure, her heart pounding louder than the chatter of the crowd. It was Mrs. Garcia, a beloved member of the community, known for her cheerful spirit and ever-present smile. She lay still, her face pale against the dark mosaic tiles. The noise seemed to fade away as Sarah's focus sharpened. "Mrs. Garcia," Sarah called, looking for any signs of response. The crowd around them murmured, anxiety rippling through the group like a wave. "Is she okay?" someone asked, a tremor in their voice. "Someone call for help," yelled another. No one moved. The tension hung thick in the air, and Sarah felt the weight of their fear. It was as if time stood still while she faced this moment alone. "Everyone step back," she shouted, feeling an unexpected determination surge within her. She turned to Mr. Thompson, who was quickly making his way through the crowd. "Can you help me?" "Of course," he replied, kneeling beside her. Together, they checked Mrs. Garcia for any signs of consciousness. Sarah's hands trembled as she felt for a pulse. It was faint and slow, but there. Relief flooded over her but was quickly replaced by a surge of urgency. "Someone needs to get a first aid kit," Mr. Thompson instructed, "and call 911. While others moved to follow his call, Sarah focused on Mrs. Garcia's face. "You're going to be okay," she whispered, brushing the hair from her forehead. The sound of sirens in the distance was a glimmer of hope. As they waited, the crowd's chatter grew louder. "What if she doesn't wake up?" someone questioned. "What will we do?" The whispering fear spread like wildfire. Sarah's heart sank. Their doubts hung like a dark cloud, threatening to overshadow the light she had just begun to kindle. "Listen," Sarah said, speaking louder. "Right now we need to come together." She looked around at the faces, her eyes searching for connection. "Mrs. Garcia needs us to stay strong. Let us focus on her and provide support." A few nodded, some even stepped closer, their expressions shifting from fear to determination. Finally, the arrival of the paramedics snapped the room back into motion. They pushed through the crowd, swiftly taking over the scene. Sarah stepped back, letting them do their job, but her heart remained tight in her chest. She wanted to help, to comfort everyone, and yet she felt a pang of helplessness. As they loaded Mrs. Garcia onto a stretcher, she caught sight of Alex in the crowd. He was pale, his eyes wide with worry. Her heart broke for him. "Mom!" he called, rushing forward but pausing when he saw the chaos. Sarah waved him over, kneeling to meet him at eye level. "It's okay, sweetie. They're taking care of her. Just keep your chin up." I don't want anything bad to happen, he whispered, tears brimming in his eyes. Me neither, she replied, holding his small hands in hers. This was not how she envisioned the meeting going. She had thought tonight would be filled with hope, but now it was marked by fear. As the paramedics loaded Mrs. Garcia into the ambulance, Sarah felt the community's uncertainty sinking in again. The defining moment she had hoped for seemed lost amid sirens and concerned whispers. But just as that thought lingered, she felt a gentle squeeze of her hands. Alex, holding on tight, grounding her amidst the storm of emotions. Maybe this wasn't the end. Maybe it was a rallying cry. A moment that would force them all to recognize the strength of unity, of support. A reminder that even in chaos they had each other. As the ambulance doors closed, the crowd began to murmur again, some forming small groups, sharing ideas about how to honor Mrs. Garcia. Sarah's heart leaped. There was still a flicker of hope. Let us go back inside and talk about how we will help together, she urged, her voice growing steady. Just then her phone buzzed with a message. A reminder, a glimpse of potential. Let us meet later to brainstorm ideas. As they began to regroup, Sarah knew that this moment would change everything. She could feel it, the stirrings of a community ready to rise. But at what cost? As they moved back into the center, all she could think was, what would it take to truly unite them? Would they support each other through this? The night was just beginning, and the answers felt just out of reach. The heaviness in the air shifted as Sarah stepped back inside the community center, guiding Alex by the hand. The chatter of voices morphed into an underlying hum, filled with anticipation mingled with worry. People were clustering together, their expressions serious as they exchanged whispers and glances. She could see it in their eyes, the fear of losing someone they cherished and the uncertainty of what came next. As Sarah settled into the central area, she spotted a makeshift gathering starting to form. Mr. Thompson stood at the forefront, clearly trying to rally the crowd. Everyone, we need to honor Mrs. Garcia's memory and show our support, he began. There was conviction in his voice, but it faltered against the backdrop of anxiety. Right now she needs us, he continued, glancing towards the door where the ambulance had just disappeared. We can't let her lose this fight. We need to come together. Not just for Mrs. Garcia but for our community. Alex squeezed Sarah's hand tighter. She wanted to reassure him, but her own heart felt heavy. This wasn't how she had hoped this night would go. But maybe there was still a chance to turn things around. Maybe a fundraiser? Someone called out from the back of the crowd. To help pay for her medical bills? The suggestion sparked a flicker of energy. A few heads nodded, and the murmurs turned into excited chatter as other ideas began to surface. What about a bake sale? We could do car washes. A charity auction. Sarah took a deep breath as the voices rose and ideas bounced around the room. It was as if a spark had ignited, breaking through the fear that had engulfed them all. She stepped forward, feeling a new wave of energy wash over her. I love all these ideas, she exclaimed, trying to harness the momentum. But we need to stay organized if we're going to make this work. Let us form a committee right now and assign responsibilities. We need to be prepared and ready to act as soon as we can. Mr. Thompson gave her an approving nod, and Sarah sensed the shift in the atmosphere. Hope replaced despair and determination took hold. Poised with Alex by her side, she began to scribble down names as people volunteered. The voices of uncertainty transitioned into a chorus of solutions, a testament to the resilience of their community. As names filled the paper, Sarah's heart began to swell. Even amid chaos they could find purpose. The night seemed less daunting now. It felt like the beginning of something, not just a reaction to fear. Then, just as plans started to take shape, Sarah's phone buzzed again. A text from a new number flickered on the screen. I know how to help, but there's something you need to know first. Her pulse quickened. Intrigued but wary, she glanced around at the growing buzz of energy in the room. Alex, can you sit with the group for a moment? She asked, kneeling to meet his gaze. I need to check something. Please stay close, okay? Okay, Mom, he replied. His eyes still filled with concern but trust lingering there too. With a purposeful stride, Sarah walked to the corner of the room, trying to find a quieter spot to respond to the message. Her heart raced. Who was this? And how did they know what she was trying to do? As she typed her reply, a knot formed in her stomach. What if this led to something unexpected? Was it a coincidence or was it a sign that they were meant to act? Before she could send her response, a voice interrupted her thoughts. "Hey, are you okay?" It was Lisa, one of Mrs. Garcia's closest friends. The worry on her face was palpable. Sarah hesitated, trying to mask her inner turmoil. "I'm trying to figure things out. Let us figure it out together," Lisa said, offering her hand, and suddenly Sarah realized she wasn't alone in feeling the weight of this moment. The room buzzed with activity, and a sense of camaraderie began to heal the rift left by uncertainty. But as Sarah turned back towards the crowd, she couldn't shake the feeling that something deeper was at play. A thread connecting the community and the unexpected message. What could this revelation lead to? And would their unity be enough to face whatever challenges awaited them? The night was only starting, and the spark of hopeful beginnings lit the air. Even as shadows of the unknown loomed ahead, Sarah's fingers hovered over her phone screen, the message lingering, tempting her with the promise of help. She felt a wave of hesitation wash over her as Lisa's presence grounded her. The frantic energy of the crowd ebbed, creating a moment of stillness amidst the chaos. "Do you think we'll really be able to help her?" Sarah murmured, glancing back at the gathering. Lisa nodded, her eyes shimmering with determination. "We can't give up. Mrs. Garcia means everything to so many of us. We'll do what it takes." The sincerity in Lisa's voice rekindled Sarah's resolve. As much as she feared the unknowns, she also felt the warmth of hope blooming inside her. With the support of her community, perhaps they truly could make a difference. "All right," Sarah said, sitting on the low bench that lined the wall. "Let us take a minute to breathe and then we can brainstorm more ideas." Lisa agreed, settling next to her, both intentionally creating a space of calm in the buzzing hive of activity. As Sarah prepared to type her response to the mysterious text, the message received moments ago echoed in her mind. The uncertainty of its implications felt heavy. What did this person want her to know? Before she could shake off her apprehension, Mr. Thompson's voice rang out again. "Let us focus on making a plan that brings us together. Maybe we can develop a series of events, something continuous where everyone contributes. Fundraisers over time will ease the burden." The sound of supportive murmurs spread through the crowd, rippling with enthusiasm. Sarah felt buoyed by their collective spirit. With renewed focus, she finally replied to the text. "What do you know?" The reply came almost instantly. "Meet me by the old oak at the park at sunrise. I'll explain everything then. Trust me." The knot in her stomach tightened again. Was this a risky move? Could trusting a stranger lead to something valuable? Or would it divert her from the commitment she'd just made to the community? "Who are you texting?" Lisa asked, glancing curiously at Sarah's face, noticing her expression shift. "Just someone. I think they might have some information that could help." Sarah hesitated before continuing. "I don't know if I should go." "Why not? If you think it could help Mrs. Garcia, you have to go. Don't let fear hold you back." It was in that moment Lisa's confidence encouraged Sarah to push through her anxiety. "You're right. I can't back down now." Just then, Alex bounded over, his face bright with excitement. "I heard them talking about a bake sale. Can I help? I want to bake cookies." Sarah smiled, her heart lifting at her son's enthusiasm. "Of course. We'll need all the cookies we can get." The community gathered over the next hour, brainstorming everything from car washes to yard sales. With each idea, Sarah felt a flicker of warmth replace her earlier hesitation. She could feel the community's pulse, a rhythmic beat of resilience and love, forging a bond that would not break easily, even in hardship. As they wrapped up the meeting, plans solidified, Sarah looked at the clock and realized time was slipping away. The possibilities of the morning loomed ahead. An appointment she wasn't sure how to meet. "Okay, everyone," she called out, her voice loud and clear, "we have a lot to do. Let us keep this momentum going and meet again tomorrow. We'll set up committees, reach out to local businesses, and get the word out. Together we can do this." Cheers erupted, the room vibrating with hope and determination. However, just as she turned to leave, the phone buzzed again in her pocket. Another message. "Are you ready for the truth?" As fear clawed at her insides, Sarah wondered if turning to face the unknown would bring a revelation they desperately needed, or if it would lead them down a darker path. Doubts flooded her mind. Could she really pull this all together? Would this mysterious person help or distract from what was truly important? With her heart racing, she mulled over her choices. The night felt electric with possibilities, but each choice carried a weight heavier than the last. She took a deep breath, feeling the sturdy connection of community beside her. Would she take the risk to seek out the truth? Or would she stay firmly rooted in the hope of the present? Only the dawn would reveal the answers. Sarah hardly slept that night. The restless thoughts swirled in her head like autumn leaves caught in a gust of wind. The question lingered. Was seeking the truth worth the risk? As the sky began to lighten, she felt the pull of both duty and curiosity. Each tick of the clock nudged her closer to the park, weaving a web of anticipation and dread around her heart. Sunrise arrived, soft and golden. The old oak tree stood proudly, its thick branches reaching out, inviting. Sarah approached, her steps hesitant yet determined. This was a moment that could shift everything, not just for Mrs. Garcia, but for herself. Taking a deep breath, she rounded the trunk, her heart pounding louder than the morning birds. A figure stood beneath the branches, shrouded in shadow. Sarah squinted against the sun's glare, attempting to decipher the face before her. "You're here," the stranger said, a voice warm yet serious. "Who are you?" Sarah asked, unable to mask her apprehension. "Just someone who knows what Mrs. Garcia has been through," the stranger replied, taking a step into the light. They revealed themselves to be a young woman with weary eyes, lined with experience. "I've seen what she doesn't tell the world. The struggles, the pain. She needs help, and you're the spark this community needs." "What do you mean?" Sarah felt confusion flood her senses. Was she truly here to help or perhaps stir trouble? The woman took a deep breath. "Mrs. Garcia has been fighting a battle with her health that she's kept from everyone. Medical bills piling up, treatment she can't afford, she's too proud to admit it. But you can change that. Your community is strong, and it needs to know the truth so they can rally together." As the stranger spoke, Sarah felt a tightening within her chest. The community's laughter and warmth over the last few days flashed before her eyes, but now it twisted into something darker. "Why tell me this? Why not her family?" "The family is lost in their own chaos," the woman said. "But you have the drive. You're well connected in this community. If anyone can inspire them to act, it's you. But you need to be brave enough to face the truth." Brave. That word echoed in her mind, a challenge and a comfort all at once. With every beat of her heart, clarity began to wash over her. "And what do you get out of this?" "I care about Mrs. Garcia. I used to work with her. This isn't about me. It's about her survival." The woman's eyes met Sarah's, and in that instant, Sarah felt the weight of responsibility settle on her shoulders like a heavy cloak. As disbelief and resolve danced within her, Sarah knew the next steps were about to unfold. Doubt still flickered in her mind, but they paled against the backdrop of the woman's sincerity. "What do I need to do?" she asked, her voice steady. "Gather the community. Tell them what you know. They'll rally if they understand. They'll fight for her." A tremor of anticipation ran through Sarah. This moment, bathed in early morning light, felt pivotal. The road ahead loomed uncertain but filled with potential and greater meaning. She took a deep breath, letting hope fill her lungs. "I will," she affirmed. "I will tell them." As she turned to leave, a new message pinged on her phone once more, its alert startling her. She paused, glancing down at it. "Are you ready to make a difference?" Her mind raced. What if she stood at the edge of something monumental? Would she step into the unknown, leading her community into action? Or would the weight of fear hold her back? Feeling the old oak behind her, she tightened her grip on her phone, her resolve solidifying. "Yes, I'm ready," she whispered to herself. The dawn was just the beginning. She could feel it in her bones. What awaited her back in the community? Would they unite for a cause bigger than themselves? Or would doubts and shadows dampen their will? Tomorrow might hold answers, but today, Sarah knew she had a fight on her hands, one that could change everything. As Sarah made her way back to the heart of the community, the sunlight felt different, richer and more alive. Every step seemed to pulse with purpose, but anxiety flickered at the edges of her resolve. She had chosen to carry the weight of truth, but was she truly ready for what lay ahead? The small square in the center of town was buzzing with the usual chatter of daybreak. Familiar faces floated past her, neighbors, friends, children playing. But today each smile felt fleeting, disguised with an air of unknowing. As she stepped into the crowd, the noise of laughter and banter faded, replaced by the thundering of her heart. "Sarah!" A voice called from behind. It was Mike, her old classmate. "Hey, where are you headed?" "Just gathering my thoughts," she replied, forcing a smile. His brow furrowed with concern. "You okay? You seem a little off." "Yeah, just a lot on my mind," she said, more to herself than to him. The truth sat heavy on her tongue, begging to be unleashed. She needed to find a way to share, to rally the community, and ensure they understood the gravity of Mrs. Garcia's situation. "Hey, listen," Mike said. "There's a coffee stand opening at the community center later. We could use a hand, everyone's pitching in." That sounded perfect. A casual gathering. She could feel the energy building as she mulled it over. "Great idea. I'll help." As she made her way to the center, she watched as the sun climbed further into the sky, casting long shadows from the buildings. With each passerby, Sarah contemplated how to approach the topic of Mrs. Garcia's struggle. Would they listen? Would they act? Arriving at the community center, she found a buzz of excitement. Tables were being set, decorations hung, and the aroma of freshly brewed coffee filled the air. Familiar faces were everywhere, and an unexpected warmth wrapped around her. But within that comfort lurked a fear. What if everyone just turned a blind eye? "Sarah!" A cheerful voice broke through her thoughts. It was Linda, a longtime friend. "You made it. Come help with these banners." "Sure." Sarah gathered around the banner table. As she worked, snippets of conversation drifted around her ears, parents discussing sports, gossip swirling about the latest town drama. She needed to find a way to shift the focus, to awaken the compassion that underpinned their community. Once the festivities were underway, Sarah took a moment to observe. Members were laughing and connecting, a tapestry of laughter and life. But an idea sparked suddenly, fueled by the determination she had felt under the oak tree. "Hey everyone," Sarah called, her voice slicing through the chatter. "Can I get your attention?" Slowly, heads began to turn. Curiosity brewed like the coffee brewing behind her. "I have something important I need to share." The air thickened with expectation, her pulse quickening. There was no turning back now. "It's about someone you all know, Mrs. Garcia. She's been fighting a battle that you might not be aware of." Gasps rippled through the crowd. She pressed on, her words igniting the urgency she knew they needed. "She needs our help. We can't let her fight this alone. If we all come together, this community could make a difference." As she spoke, she caught glimpses of disbelief, empathy, and compassion weaving through the crowd. Some faces softened, while others hardened in resolve. The tension flickered like the flame of hope she aimed to ignite. When she finished, silence felt heavy in the air, pregnant with emotion, waiting for a reaction. Would they stand with her? Would they embrace the fight for Mrs. Garcia? Then a voice broke through. "We can do this. We've helped before, why not now?" It was Mike, and the shift was immediate. Others started to rally, voices intertwining, affirming, agreeing. Sarah felt a rush of relief and exhilaration wash over her. She was no longer standing alone. The community was responding. But just as hope surged, a shadow crossed her mind. What if it wasn't enough? What if the help they offered came too late? As the conversation grew around her, a new message pinged. On her phone again. She glanced down, reading a single word that shattered her newfound sense of security. Emergency. What now? Would she have to face a new challenge before they could even fully stand united? With her heart racing anew, she tucked the phone back into her pocket. There was no turning back. The fight had just begun, and she could feel the storm brewing on the horizon. Could they weather it together? As the words echoed through Sarah's mind, she felt a pull deep within her. The gathering buzzed with newfound energy, yet her heart sank, the weight of the message gnawing at her resolve. What could be happening now? The voices around her blended into a hum, faces turning eager but blurred by her spiraling thoughts. She needed to prioritize Mrs. Garcia, but the urgency tugging at her conscience couldn't be ignored. It felt as if the universe was rearranging itself around her, as if a storm was gathering, ready to unleash its fury. "Sarah, you okay?" Mike's concern broke through her spiraling thoughts. His brow furrowed again, the warmth of the community forgotten in the turn of her expression. Yeah, just got a message, she murmured, her gaze still lost in the crowd. Something serious? He pressed, eyebrows raised. Just a family issue, she lied, the words tasting bitter. But even as she searched for comfort in that lie, another wave of anxiety washed over her. All right, but remember, we're all here for each other, right? His encouragement momentarily grounded her, reminding her of the very purpose she had articulated just moments before. Right, she smiled weakly, hoping it didn't betray her inner turmoil. The community continued to buzz. Encouragement poured in, with voices echoing back words of resolve. Let us start a fundraiser. We can spread the word. The vibrations of hope wove themselves around Sarah, filling a part of her with light. Yet, another side battled for attention, the weight of personal worry clashing with the bright possibility of collective action. So what's our plan for Mrs. Garcia? A voice piped up, breaking through the noise. They were at a tipping point and she could feel it. This was just the beginning. We can organize shifts to help with her yard, maybe even set up a meal train. Another community member chimed in. Excitement and purpose coalesced brilliantly, igniting their collective spirit. Exactly. Sarah jumped in, her voice more confident. If we can create a system of support right now, we can also show her she is not alone in this. We will rally around her. Just then Mike's phone vibrated, and he glanced down, concern creeping back into his features. Sarah, I just got a message too, he said, the urgency in his voice tangling with theirs. They're at Mrs. Garcia's right now. They're saying she needs help urgently. Panic seeped into the smiles and chatter, casting shadows over the hopeful energy they had created. We need to go now, Sarah declared, her decision swift. Grab some supplies, everyone. Let us show Mrs. Garcia she isn't alone. The frantic movement ignited a fire among the community members. They surged towards the exits, energy crackling like electricity in the air. But as Sarah raced to gather her things, the message echoed in her mind: emergency. There was something deeper, something she felt was looming, waiting just beyond the horizon. They might be ready to help Mrs. Garcia, but what else awaited them? As they loaded up cars and organized a convoy, Sarah felt a shiver run down her spine. This urgency, this suddenness felt like the calm before the storm. Is everyone ready? Mike called out, casting a glance over the crowd. The nods came with determination, but beneath that resolve, a thread of anxiety was palpable. Let us go, Sarah urged, her heart racing. They took off, racing across town, but even as the faces around her filled with purpose, in the back of her mind loomed the question: what awaited them there? Would they be prepared for the truth that could unravel everything they thought they knew about Mrs. Garcia in their own lives? The tension hung heavy in the air, whispering a dangerous note that echoed in her thoughts. Just what would they find waiting beyond those doors? Arriving at Mrs. Garcia's house, Sarah felt the swell of anxiety in her chest. The commotion outside her home heightened the tension as cars piled onto the street, families pouring out, driven by a collective urgency. Neighbors converged into a flurry of movement, gathering supplies and working together. It was beautiful yet daunting. Sarah. It was Lisa, rushing towards her, breathless but determined. What is happening? What do we know? Not much, Sarah admitted, just that she needs us quickly. Let's focus on getting inside. They made their way through the doorway, Sarah taking a deep breath. Inside, the atmosphere was thick with worry. The living room was full of activity, kind faces offering comfort, fellow community members wrapping their arms around each other in solidarity. But as they approached the bedroom, the shadows felt heavier, as if lurking reminders of the battle Mrs. Garcia faced had filled the corners of the room. Sarah, Mr. Thompson called, urgency crackling in his voice. I think they need someone to talk to her. She hesitated, stepping forward but feeling the weight of responsibility. What if I can't? What if I don't have the right words? You do, he encouraged. You've already inspired so many. Go to her. Taking a moment, Sarah steeled herself, nodding. All right, I'll go. With each step, the world around her faded. The gentle creak of the floorboards beneath her feet kept a rhythm that echoed her anxiety. She reached the door to Mrs. Garcia's room and pushed it open, revealing a scene that gripped her heart. Mrs. Garcia lay propped up in bed, pale and fragile, threads of her vibrant spirit evident yet dimmed. But there was strength in her eyes, a flicker that reminded Sarah of the power that lived within all of them. As she stepped in, Mrs. Garcia turned her head towards Sarah. a weak smile breaking through the shadows. "You're here," she whispered, the words barely escaping her lips. "I am, Mrs. Garcia," Sarah replied, her voice soft but steady. "We're all here for you. And we're going to help you through this." Fresh tears filled Mrs. Garcia's eyes, and she let out a shaky breath. I thought I was alone." Sarah's heart ached. "You don't have to bear this burden alone. We're stronger together, and I promise we'll rally around you." With every word she spoke, she felt the weight of the support outside, a river of connection flowing through. Just then Mike and Lisa peeked in from the doorway, eyes filled with encouragement, their presence a testament to the community's dedication. Mrs. Garcia turned her head, spotting them. A realization dawned, igniting her spirit like a warm hearth. "You all came," she whispered, the strength in her voice growing. "I didn't know we're not just neighbors," Sarah replied, choking back emotion. "We're family. And families don't let each other fight alone. We'll stand by you. Fundraisers support everything we can give." As they spoke, laughter and pleas for Mrs. Garcia filled the nearby space. A renewed sense of purpose charged through her veins. Even while uncertainty loomed on the horizon, the tide was shifting. They would not let one another down. "I'm so scared," Mrs. Garcia admitted, tears spilling from her weary eyes. "It's okay to be scared," Sarah said, her voice calming and sincere. "But we'll face this fear together. We'll walk through it side by side." A moment of beautiful stillness surrounded them, stitching hope into the fabric of their community. Outside, the conversations began to rise in enthusiasm as ideas blossomed, interlaced with hope. And suddenly, a thought pierced through Sarah's mind. The truth about Mrs. Garcia's health was the catalyst to bring them all together. The message from the stranger urged her to share, urging her to step up. She understood now that every time a burden was shared, strength multiplied, showcasing the power of connection that could uplift them all in times of hardships. Returning to the living room, she felt the warmth of her community's spirit envelop her. She opened her mouth, ready to rally them once more. "Listen up, everyone. We need to bring together a plan not just to help Mrs. Garcia, but to build a network of support for each other too." Familiar expressions flickered with interest and agreement, and Sarah continued with renewed vigor. "We can create ongoing fundraisers, a meal train, and even workshops to share skills. Let us create a community resource center, a place where we can uplift each other, together." A wave of enthusiasm surged through the room, igniting conversations and ideas that bounced around like wildflowers in a summer breeze. Mrs. Garcia watched, her heart swelling with pride, as her neighbors connected through purpose. Together they transformed despair into action, determination igniting a flame that spread throughout Maplewood like wildfire. And in that moment, as Sarah moved among her friends, she felt that this wasn't just about Mrs. Garcia anymore. It was about uniting their community, creating a legacy of support that would last way beyond the here and now. As applause rang through the air, a smile spread wide on her face. She understood that in facing the chaos, they had become stronger. They had reclaimed their dreams, their hopes, and their unity. And right then, as the community rallied, Sarah's heart soared. They would conquer the challenges ahead together, forever linked by the bonds of love and support that would illuminate even the darkest of days. Now it was time to act. Sarah turned her gaze towards the sky, the dawn of a new chapter unfolding above Maplewood, bright, hopeful, and ready to transform not just their own lives, but the lives of many more. Join in this journey with us. You need to subscribe now to see how their story unfolds. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and support this movement. Comment below your thoughts and feelings about this transformation. How can we continue to uplift each other in our communities? Don't wait not even one more second to share this story with at least 5 friends who need to be inspired. Let's spread the message of unity and strength together.